Well, another week, and as Yogi Berra would say, it was deja vu all over again. The Elks lost once again in an embarrassing fashion to the BC Lions. The offense put up a putrid display tonight. Get into all that later. If there's one positive to take from this game, it's that the defense was not thoroughly embarrassed, unlike the games out in British Columbia last year where Nathan Rourke absolutely tore us a new one. On the positive side, they only scored one touchdown against us. Yeah. Defense, thought did a pretty good job in the first half, as good as can be expected. Really, throughout the entire game, they held up their end of the bargain. Yeah, there were some things that you can say about the defense. Yeah, there was a lot of playing the same zone coverages and them finding holes in it. Pass rush not getting there. Of course, you're only rushing three a lot of the time, rushing four sometimes. You're not going to get a lot of sacks that way. It was a lot of bend but don't break. Unfortunately, with as bad as the offense was tonight, it's just not going to be good enough for that defense, and it stinks to see. They know they have to play a perfect game to even give this team a chance to win. And it's disparaging, honestly. The offense, where do I begin? I'm going to begin with a different note from the offense. I want to just come out and say that the Elks got out coached in this game, plain and simple. From the first play of the game, you could basically tell that Rick Campbell was one step ahead. That very first play, which was the interception by Peters that got called pass interference, it just looked like Peters was sitting on that route like he knew it was coming. This offense has become so predictable that, opponents are just looking at it and seeing things almost before our players are. It's ridiculous. Of course, it didn't help that Cornelius got back into his bad habit of staring the receiver down before throwing it. But that doesn't take away from the fact that the defense knew what was coming as well. Get both those in there, it just from the outset just set the tone of a very bad night for this offensive unit. A lot of people are going to blame Cornelius, and I see why, but I also want to posit that the run game for this team is non existent. I know Kevin Brown had that 125-yard rush, but if you take that away, the rest of the game, this team had 11 carries for 29 yards. Under 3 yards a carry. Not going to get it done. Just not going to happen. BC also had a very simple strategy. They said, we're going to blanket Geno Lewis and make the rest of your guys beat us. It worked. Worked like a charm. Stephen Dunbar led the team in catches today with 5 for 46 yards. Did have a decent amount of yards after contact. That was somewhat of a positive thing, but still, overall, this team is losing at the point of attack. The offense is completely out of sorts and unbalanced. And while people might be calling for Cornelius to be benched, I just don't know if that's going to instantly fix everything. I just feel like talent is still there for Cornelius and that he could be good in the right situation, but this is clearly not it. He's got a big arm, and yeah, he's a risk taker kind of guy, but you have been able to see that if he doesn't see the first read open, he gets happy feet and he's starting to scramble. And frankly, I find it hard to blame him. The blitz for BC got there every time. What's the guy supposed to do? I mean, part of me now wants to see Kyle Oxley or Trey Ford just to see what they can do. However, if you're going to put either of those guys in at the starting quarterback for their mobility, it's not like Cornelius lacks in mobility. Now, you'd have to hope that Loxley or Ford, what they could do would be more on play actions, bootlegs, running more of a West Coast offense than a run and gun. Really, Cornelius seems like he would do really well in a run and gun type offense, but clearly that's not going to work with the personnel that this team has. So I said it last week, I'll say it again. Seats are going to start heating up very quickly. Cornelius, be it fair or not, the pressure is going to start mounting on him. Stephen McAdoo, pressure is going to start mounting on him. Chris Jones, I think he deserves some blame in this too. He is the general manager, and he did not address the needs of the offensive line sufficiently. Yes, he's done a very good job so far with the defense. He's got that side of the ball working. But yeah, something's got to be done with this offensive line, or this team is going nowhere. It's just not looking good right now. I don't want to get too down because it's only week 2, but if there is light at the end of the tunnel, I don't see it at this point. Hope to have a better reaction next week. I'll see you then.